angels on the line. The angels on the line. The angels on the line.
Good people, good people. 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 What's going on, y'all? This episode 9. We talking about teenage mental health, mental illness today. Brought to you by you know who, the youth. And you got to give people what they want. I'm gonna start over here with on my right, actually. No, I'm gonna start to my left because these people are on the line. First person we got is Muhammad. Muhammad, tell the people what you do, where you from, where we calling from. Talk to me.
Hey everybody, my name is Muhammad. Hey, I'm a retired military veteran. I'm currently in IT right now and also going down the entrepreneurial route. I'm currently residing in St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, we here.
Awesome
And then,
sauce. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, moving down to Houston. Everybody loves Houston. So I just had to put that out there.
I know that's right. Well, you know what? Guess what?
Texas,
We got
period.
Miss Joseph in the building on the line. Talk to her. Tell us what you do, where you calling from.
Hey, guys. So my name is Kosha Joseph. I am a licensed professional counselor licensed in Louisiana, Georgia, and Texas. I'm from Louisiana. I now reside in Houston. And I own Safe Place Counseling and Consulting Counseling Services, which is an outpatient mental health service here in Houston.
Okay.
Safe Place Counseling Service.
Counseling.
She is the owner of that place. So she's been doing this. And she got more than one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having you here from Houston. And then we got our veteran. We got Miss Betty calling in. I'm going to let you tell us where you calling in from, Betty. Talk to me.
Okay. My name is Betty Frizzell. I'm a retired chief of police from the state of Missouri. I'm an author of If You Can't Quit Crying, You Can't Come Here Anymore, a family's legacy of poverty, crime, and mental illness in rural America. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington. I'm also a NAMI, National Alliance in Mental Illness speaker for Missouri.
Okay.
Come on.
That's what I'm talking
Angel
about.
put out all the Angel put out
Look
all
here.
the big guns for the last stuff.
Hey, listen, you got to give the people what they want.
She is not playing with us.
I can't do it. And of course, across from me, we got Mr. Dr. Carl. Tell us where you from, where you at, what you do. Tell us something.
My name is Dante Cora. I'm from St. Louis. I am a clinical psychologist. I am also the principal and CEO of the Cora Group, based here in St. Louis.
All right, and next to him, you got the reason why this episode exists today. Young man, tell him what your name is, where you coming from. Talk to him.
My name is Tony.
Talking that mic, baby. It ain't gonna bite you unless you bite it. Come on.
I'm from Tony, and I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Awesome sauce. How old are you, son?
I'm 15.
Okay.
15 years old. And of course, we got next to me, we got Shannon. Investigator Johnson is what she said today.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
And of course, you got me. Y'all know who I am. Angel CEO and founder of Angel Online. Trying to get the people what they want. Bringing juvenile awareness to the world, to the people, and also helping these adults understand these youth and understand themselves for their situations that they have not addressed and have went unheard of. Welcome to the Angels Online, voice of the unheard. Good people. Good people. All right. We're going to start off right now. I'm going to ask Tony. Because this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you by Tony. He requested this episode. When I was teaching him, he wrote it to me, and he told me he wanted to. Tell me why you want this episode, sir.
Because I think people Go
ahead. You're all right.
I can't say it.
Underestimate
that teenagers' mental health also matters.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
That's
man.
right.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
this.
you.
Thank you for this.
And guess
Right.
what? You're not the only kid that believes that. You just decided to utilize your voice for a positive purpose. Okay?
That's right.
And
Kudos
so-
to him.
Come on. Come on, baby. Listen, when we in the studio, it's real obnoxious because you got to have a good time. Life is short. It's flooding and everything else.
Right,
Somebody done stole my wallet and everything out my car. So I'm gonna just keep it pushing, you know.
And you were stuck on the highway.
All right, and I was stuck on the highway in a flood. So
Let's give it full victim.
Yeah, full victim today.
Okay.
But I ain't gonna be no victim. I'm a survivor, baby.
Okay.
Heavy on.
Which cake?
I wore them
Big
all.
Earth.
God, welcome to Angel, y'all.
I'm not playing with y'all.
First question is, what is, and I will not target these questions to anybody. I want to know what is the difference between mental health and mental illness.
Come through, Doc.
So mental health is just the overall picture, right, of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, right?
Okay.
Obviously, illness would be something that affects that or causes issue with either of those things. So mental illness would be an upset to your emotional well-being, an upset to your psychological well-being, or an upset to your social well-being. Anything that affects that in a negative way is considered mental illness.
It's considered mental illness. Does anybody want to add to that, or are we good with that?
Mental illness is actually under the umbrella of mental health.
Come on, that's extra. Come on, let's add
Yeah.
that. If we want to add anything else, that's what I'm talking. We learning today.
Food for thought.
These people are
Let's get
teaching
it right.
today.
Get it
Thank
right.
y'all.
And understand it.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask this. What are common mental health issues in teens?
Megan?
It don't matter who it is. Go ahead, Miss Johnson. Sound like you was going.
Anxiety, depression.
Anxiety, depression.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Let's throw some
Confusion.
more out there. Say that again, Tony.
Confusion.
Confusion. Okay. Anybody else got one? And if you have personal experience, that's what we're focused on: personal experience, professional knowledge. So those are great. Go ahead. Say that again, Betty.
There's 4 million children and adolescents in this country that suffer from a serious mental health disorder or a significant functionally impairs them at home, school, or with their peers. So sometimes we feel like we're not alone, but there's 4 million children and adolescents. That's from the NAMI fact sheet.
Come on.
Okay.
That's what I need.
Absolutely.
I need that. Common mental health issues.
And
in teens.
mental illness is showing itself a little bit more prevalent in our teens and adolescents, more so than it did in the beginning as well.
Yes.
Can you expound on that?
Can you say that?
Yeah.
Say that one more time. You got the end. Say that one more time. And
Mental health and mental illness is showing itself prevalent more in our kids, children, and adolescents than it used to back then. It's happening a little bit more. Our children and teens are suffering more than they normally would have before.
Ms. Johnson, it's Dante Carr. Just a quick personal question, not a personal question, but can you give us an idea as to why you feel that is happening?
I couldn't hear.
can you
good.
give us an idea of why you feel that that's happening, why it's so prevalent today more than in the past?
Well, coming from a person who's been in the mental health field over 13 years,
Come on.
I have counseled children as young as 3 on up to adults, geriatrics. In the past years, most of my clients have been adults. Now, over the past maybe 1.5, 2 years, my overall caseload is 98% children, teens, and adolescents.
Dr. Johnson, do you feel like because that the pandemic played a major role into you having more adolescents and youth?
I think yes, the pandemic, different things that go on in the world, and I think more so it's a lot of things were overlooked. I know sometimes when you have teenagers, you always get, okay, they're just teens. They don't have anything to be depressed about. They don't have anything to suffer anxiety about. So a lot of things were overlooked. So now we're focusing on bringing that to the forefront because guess what? Our children are suffering. They have the pressures of school. They have the pressures of being accepted and wanted. So they deal with a lot of different things that we have to look at. And a lot of behaviors that our children suffer from now, cutting, running away, conduct disorders, and things like that, they all come from things that they deal with inside the home or outside the home that they never really speak on.
Correct. And I deal with adults mostly, but what I do know for a fact, and the statistics and the math would prove that most of the adults who suffer from these mental health issues as an adult is because of unresolved issues that stem from their childhood.
Come on.
That's true.
I think that it's important.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
It starts-
100%.
The key
Is the inner
for-
child.
Yeah, no, period. You got to cater to that inner child
Yep.
because it's a lot of time it starts at the child. I think we think that adults get old and they get crazy, or that we like to call them crazy, but no, they have issues that they are victims of certain things that affect their mental health. They had issues that their parents just wrote off as something basic, as something that runs in the family, or hey, that's just how that person is, and then they allow that child to become an adult, and then the stigma and the issue grew with it, right? So now we're trying to fix the adult, but I think the focus should be heavy on addressing those issues in the child.
That's right.
And I'm so glad you said
Unhealed trauma.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
exactly,
post-traumatic.
Absolutely.
that's
PTSD.
exactly what it is. Say that again. Say it again, Betty.
PTSD.
PTSD. I would see that all the time in my classroom in North St. Louis. We think about that. We think about a military veteran or maybe someone who's been in law enforcement. But post-traumatic stress disorder can affect anybody. And a lot of the kids just don't. Like, I came from a very traumatic, violent home. And it wasn't a violent home. It was home. And it was a Tuesday. Those things happened to us every day or every other day. But then later on, when I got in a more normal, stable life as an adult, those things still came back. Triggers still came back. Things still happened.
Absolutely.
Because they were never addressed as a child, right?
Exactly.
They were never addressed.
And
Especially
go ahead.
They were never addressed.
Right. And that's what the kids are dealing with. And as teachers, when we're in a classroom, we deal with the after effect of what it is. We don't. They could be showing out for a trigger that we don't even know that, and they don't even know it's a trigger.
Somebody heard me. I think somebody speaking to the gods today. Somebody heard me.
And trauma and any type of trauma doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something growing out and drooling. There are kids dealing with adjustment disorder just in schools, or it's small things that can trigger. Having a new person in the home. A lot of those things can affect kids in a negative way that causes them to have certain reactions. And I always tell my parents, because with my agency, even though we see a lot of children, a lot of teenagers, we're not just working with the children and the teenagers. We're working with the family, the parents as well, because most of those things are deriving from the home.
Correct.
So it has to be a cluster of dealing with those things as a whole. And sometimes we do have parents that want to put their kids in services and just say, here, fix them. They don't want to do the work. They're in denial. They don't want to see that they're a part of the problem.
Or the transgenerational trauma.
Transgeneration.
They bring it. Yeah, the parents brought it to them, or the grandparents brought it to the parents, and the parents, and they don't know how to fix it because they don't know it's a problem.
They don't know how.
Let's talk about it.
When that's like if you're dealing with a parent that was never told that their parent loved them. They can't give something that they didn't get.
Exactly.
So the child suffers because of that.
And absolutely, I have parents who think that their children are out of control and they don't know how to handle the child, when really they don't know how to parent that specific child who's dealing with all these issues, right? All this unresolved trauma. A lot of these parents are looking for triggers that are similar to the ones they dealt with as a child. Times are different. You have these young people have social pressures. They have social media to deal with, accepting a constant comparison against the things they see and hear. No, it's much different. These parents can't go off the things that they had when they was a child. Oh, the sketchy person next door. No, the sketchy person is now in their hand on their phone.
Right.
For example. So there's so many different triggers. These kids are being hit with so much, so often, so frequent and so different that they can't adjust to one strange thing or one unusual feeling or emotion. They're getting so many just random times all the time.
That's true.
Because what wasn't okay when we were growing up is okay now. So it's almost like I tell a lot of my parents, this is their world. We have to form to their world now. We have to think of all the things that they're dealing with, and we can't respond how we would then.
Correct.
And I always use the example of me having a 17-year-old and me being a parent, and I've had a rough day at work, and my son comes to me and says, Mom. And if I'm having a rough day and I respond and say, what? He says, never mind. I've lost him. So whatever he had to tell me in that moment is gone. What if it was something serious? So I have to be mindful of my reaction.
Mindfulness.
When my kid comes to me, to be open, to not respond in a negative way, because I don't want to lose my child. We have to give them that voice. We can't say that just because you're 15 or just because you're 12, you don't have a voice. You can't be respected. That's not the case.
Welcome to Voice of the Unheard, baby. The Angels Online. Come on.
We won't know.
Woo-wee!
Hey, we got the right group today.
Let me tell you something.
We got the right group.
Let me tell you everything that y'all saying. I've been talking about. I've been saying it, and that's why I had this episode, because I said let me put some professionals on here, because Angel just one person, and it takes a village. Yeah. Literally everything that you're saying. I talked about it in school to Tony about, and he said the same thing. He said, people don't. They just think, oh, kids are okay. No, you good. Don't worry about it. Just go on your way.
They're young. They're not going through nothing.
What do you got to worry about? You don't have rent. You don't have electric bills. You ain't got nothing to worry about.
It's the same.
Fix yourself.
Ain't no bill.
It's the same stuff that they were being told.
Yeah.
And it's the same.
Exactly.
And so nowadays, and they're looking at it like, man, that happened a long time ago. Don't worry about that. What do you mean, don't worry about that? Mm-hmm. See, you didn't pay attention to the effect that what you're saying, don't worry about, had on me. And so I still remember, and of course I still have triggers. But a lot of times, like you said, all of you said, they're they're trying to hide from it. They don't want to address it.
Right.
They want to repress. They still want to repress it. They weren't loved. They were mistreated.
Because grandma didn't get that type of love. So now grandma put that love that she learned from her mama on her daughter, and then how grandma treated her daughter. Then when her daughter had a baby, then she started treating her kid the same way.
Stop and break the cycle.
Domino effect.
Yeah, break the cycle. And that's what the job is now. Why can't we get these kids this information now so they can be more successful or more prepared to deal with whatever life has coming at them?
Not only that, you got to make it to where these young people who are dealing with these things, first put them in a position where they can at least try to identify that something's wrong, and then to be comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm feeling this.
Advocate
this
for
not
their
okay.
needs.
I don't want to be like this. Help me try to fix this. But a lot of times the parents won't. I know parents who feel that the issues, their children's mental health issues, is a direct reflection of them and their parenting abilities. Mm-hmm. The two things are separate. They're separate. They're not the same.
Right.
They're not the same. You can be an A1 parent, but the social pressures of your child's peers, the people that they spend probably the most time with, affects them more than your good style of parenting. Right. The beneficial parent that you are.
And the teacher and the teachers that they deal with. We can't leave out those teachers.
Absolutely.
Every teacher is not
those outside
is built for getting a rapport with students and understanding their triggers and understand. And some people don't even want to address it. They just want to teach science.
No.
If I teach
you don't pay me enough to address it. That's what they say.
Exactly, Betty. That's one thing. They don't pay me enough to deal with nobody else's problem. I'm just trying to teach science.
Yeah, I'm just trying to teach math. Teach to the test.
That's it. That's all.
And that's what saved me. I talked to you about before. My great grandfather was a murderer. My mother was a murderer. My grandmother was a murderer. I have two sisters I have one sister that's actually in Missouri corrections for the rest of her life for murder. I was the youngest of 8, but I had those social anchors at school. I had them at church. I had them because my mom kept, didn't want me in the house, so she'd make sure I went to school, made sure but I had teachers that said, hey, no, something ain't right here. Mm-hmm. You're not what you come from.
That's right.
But there's not that many teachers. We don't feel comfortable as a teacher doing that because of the litigious society we live in.
And in the politics. Now, I felt real comfortable. I talk to y'all about everything. I talk to my babies because you got to keep it real with them. You got to open up and be vulnerable so they can understand, because it's not about math all the time. It's about them walking out this building and dealing with life at the same time because it's going to hit them. So let me talk to you and prepare you for life at the same time. Yeah, I'm going to help you read. I'm going to help you write. I'm going to help you do whatever you need to do. But understand, it's a real world out here outside of these classrooms and this dang on book that they got, because life is not a script.
That's right.
Right.
Everybody's life is different.
My 4th grade teacher is still in my life. She's been in my life since 4th grade because she was the one that was the first person ever took knowledge of me. She was there when I got out, when I was, being a police officer. She was there when I got law enforcement officer of the year. She was there, but she took an interest in me, and that's where we got to have those social anchors: church, school, anywhere else, because it's a lot of, like my mom. She didn't know she had a problem. It was transgenerational trauma from grandma and great grandpa and all that. And so that's one of the things that teachers have to, they feel like, well, I don't understand why this kid's showing out in my classroom. Well, it's showing out because they can't control what's going on sometimes.
Because they didn't get no sleep because their parents were arguing this morning.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
say that again,
matters.
Johnson.
education matters. Sometimes when we have children that are diagnosed with anxiety, it's important that we're educating parents because a lot of things are going on that they're not paying attention to. They don't see. It's the smallest little things. When kids are isolating themselves, when they have different feelings of worthiness, guilty feelings, they're fatigued, they're tired. They're not paying attention to those small things. And again, parenting doesn't come with a handbook.
Come on.
So there's no right way to do anything. But we have to acknowledge if there's anything in our past that may have contributed to the way that our kids are behaving. Because 9 times out of 10, I can tell you, 85% of the kids that I counsel, it always goes back to how my mom or my family treats me. My parents never listen to me. It results in them cutting. It results in them having suicidal ideation.
Absolutely.
It results in them running away. It results in so many things that result back to, like someone said earlier, childhood trauma.
That's it.
So if we're not addressing it and trying to put a stop to it while they're younger, as it gets older, as they get older, it only gets worse.
That bag gets heavier.
That bag gets much heavier.
No, so when you get them, they become an adult, and you're trying to unload the bag.
Nobody wants their kids with a diagnosis.
Come on,
You're right. Exactly.
I have people in my family who clinically I know that something's wrong, and everybody else knows something, but the parent
ain't nobody
saying
nothing.
Wrong with my baby.
Ain't nobody saying nothing.
No, they are. The mom don't want to hear it.
They don't exactly.
Not her child. Not their child. Right. Not their child.
Yeah. And then what it happens in the house, it stays in the house. You don't talk about what goes on when you go to school. Yeah. You don't tell these people what's going on.
Don't tell them our business.
And it's a stigma that mental health is something bad.
Right.
And it's not. It's just like physical health, mental health. It's the same thing. But
it's like my diabetes.
Hey, I gotta go to the doctor to keep my diabetes in check.
That's right.
Yeah. Another thing though is, well, I'll let you go with your questions because this.
Well, I mean, this question was. I mean, Johnson, Ms. Johnson, I was gonna say, what are some warning signs of mental illness in teens? And you just said it, not eating, secluding themselves, not wanting to talk, being quiet, and it's Tony. What do you think? What are some things, Tony, that you see that even maybe that you may have went through?
Like avoiding other people, not even wanting
avoidance, purposely avoiding.
Separating yourself with your family.
Separating yourself from your family.
Not going to school, skipping classes.
Not going to school, skipping classes. Come on, baby, talking that mic. Give us what you get the people what they want. I got to let the kids talk, baby.
Sneaking out. Just disappearing all around. Just not being there. And then when you have nobody to talk to about it, and it becomes a big problem, it's not really your fault. They just don't want to listen to it. It's better to have an adult that will listen to you, even if you don't know them. It's better to have someone who will listen to and actually pay attention to it, like understanding like not every kid is going to be the same.
Right.
Like everybody has something going on. None of us talk about it because it's our personal problem. Like
nobody wants to be open and vulnerable. Nobody wants to tell their feelings to be talked about.
And like and then like how can I say it, like
this your show. I just want you to know that this your show. This show is dedicated to you, Tony. This is your episode. This is your topic, sweetheart. You take your time.
So I want to ask Tony a question. Was anything ever done in an attention-seeking manner?
Could you say that again?
Was anything ever done in an attention-seeking manner, or is it just more?
But you just asked out because you wanted attention.
Did you act out because you wanted attention, or?
No.
Nope.
No. If you act out, it happens. It's not. It's like. It's just how you see it. Not everybody's gonna act out. Some people do act on it because it's a lot of pressure, and then you can't really deal with it. With some people, they can deal with the pressure much as they want.
Okay.
Like some people can go through months, almost like years without talking to anybody. But once it's to a breaking point, it's not like they're upset. It's like they're more mad about it. Because if you're gonna end up mad about it, it may end up being a physical problem if people are around you. Like I've seen that happen.
So I have a question for you too, Tony. Have you personally experienced certain or like mental illnesses, and were you able to address that with your family, like your mom, your dad, or anybody?
Yeah, with my mom. Well, during quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
my mom noticed I wasn't really like talking to anybody. So over the time, I just got more comfortable around with my mom.
Okay. So your mom has been a good support system for us.
Yeah, like my
Okay.
mom knows everything that goes on with me. Like she knows I do want to be alone in my room. Like there's times where I just want to be in my room as free time. Like
Mm-hmm.
either it's like taking naps or just being on the game or just being on my phone. There's times where like you gotta give yourself a break from reality.
That's right. That's
Talk
what
to
my
me,
daughter
son.
do.
Talk
So
to me,
that's
son.
that's what made me ask, because my daughter is 18, and I started seeing certain things with her during the pandemic as well. And once I started asking her questions like, "You're always in your room. I see you when you're coming out to get food and stuff," and she opened up, and she was like, "It's a lot. Being virtual, taking 8 classes online." Like she was slowly like losing herself. So she was open. I came up with a journal where I was like, however you feel, if you want to cuss in your journal, whatever, this is just a journal between me and you write down however you feel. I read it and then I respond back. So once we started doing that, her communication
Yes,
got
Mom.
better.
Come
Yeah,
on.
like I had that issue during this school year. Like I didn't really show up. Miss Ramsey knows I didn't even show up for half of the school year because it was just the expectation for school was high. They expect you to ace every class and understand what they're talking about. It's just everybody learns differently. Like
Right.
some people can learn
Different
math
ways
a
of learning.
lot slower and then a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not everybody's gonna understand it. It might
Right.
take people 2-3 weeks. From what I know, they will. What was the math teacher's name? I forgot his name for 8th grade.
I don't know. His name was a math teacher. That's it.
It's a math teacher.
Yeah,
All right,
That teacher.
that teacher. I ain't gonna say nobody's name.
That-
I don't know them.
that teacher.
My name Angel. I'm the Angels online. You don't get me.
I'm Angela Marie.
The math teacher. It was too much for you. They want you to learn right then and there, and it
Yeah,
takes
like
you.
they were saying like it takes a week for us to memorize everything.
So did they do anything for us to help you to retain whatever information? Is that what it was a big issue for you? Because they expected
Just homework. That's
you.
really
Okay.
it.
This was
No, this
In
school year.
person school.
It's in person, so it's where I will sit right next to him and say, "All right, we're gonna fix this word. We're gonna do this." You know, but that's me. Everybody's not Miss Ramsey.
Right. So you
You know what I'm
took
saying?
time out.
I'm gonna take all the time I
Yeah,
need.
you
I
do.
said, I'll buy you some flashcards if I got to buy. I
Okay.
don't care what I gotta
Make
do.
you some.
But I mean, so that goes to say, because Betty and Johnson said stress is a school, right?
Betty, weren't you a teacher at some point? I think you said.
Oh,
Yeah.
Betty was a teacher, yeah.
Okay.
She
Betty,
said North City.
What would you have done in this young man's situation where he feels disconnected from the curriculum, he's not picking it up? What can you provide some insight to the potential educator listeners on how to deal with their pupils in this situation?
I think it's good that I came from a law enforcement background because I taught in North St. Louis, and I had an awareness. A lot of teachers, when they get in the classroom, they're so busy with the curriculum, they're so busy where they just don't have the awareness of things. And we need to do better with helping our educators with mental health conditions. Because even our, and I can say it from police officers too, we need to make sure that there is that you're aware of this. If you've got someone who's constantly, not completing things or constantly not turning things in, or they're sleeping in class, why aren't we talking to those kids? Why are you so? You can take that time, that 2 minutes of your time.
Come on.
It's a lifetime to those kids.
It's a savior. It's a life saving. It's a life saving is what it is. It could be
It sure
stopping
is.
them from committing
they
suicide,
wonder
from
why.
running away, from doing something crazy. It could be anything, but just giving them a voice.
And they wonder
Right.
why they don't say nothing to the teachers.
You know,
because what have you shown me to make me feel comfortable enough to tell you what's going on?
All you do is yell at me. All you do is,
Right.
why you sleep? Why you
Be
sleep?
quiet.
Instead of asking why I'm sleeping in class. You know what I'm saying? Why you
Take it.
sleep? You
Because-
know what, baby? What's going on? Is something going on? Put the meth down for a minute. Put that down. Let's figure out what's going on. You gotta
Half of
address-
all people who experience mental health conditions in their lifetime start experiencing them before age of 14.
Period.
Absolutely.
But other teen members might not experience them until later. Nobody develops, there's not a cookie cutter explanation, of why this happens to certain people. But as a teacher, it's my obligation to know what's going on. I got to have care, custody, and control of that classroom.
Yes, you
And
do.
that means I'm putting these people back out on the street.
Come on.
But I want them to be a person that's going to be able to survive this world, because this world ain't easy.
Not at all.
Ooh, and hey Mo, I wanna go to you, Mo, real quick, because Betty mentioned somebody in the military. You went in at the age of 18, right?
Yes, I did.
You were still a teen at that point, young man. Ain't really been
Still a
out.
lot to learn.
And wasn't in the streets. Wasn't in none of that. So of course you had to learn how to be a man by yourself out there, right?
Yeah, that's I'll go ahead. Sorry.
Give me some. How was your mental stability, or what was your personal experience with other young men that went in with you, or how you dealt with some things?
Actually, I had some very close friends in high school that's no longer with us. I actually went off to basic training, and he passed, just like you say, in the streets. So I wasn't really. I had to grow up early, but I say patience, and God kept me with that one. It's a lot of professionals on the call, so I say relationships really helped me get through like past traumas and things like that. So when I left the military, I had a lot of help. For anybody who knows the military, they offer a lot of help and service and stuff like that. I've had soldiers under me that have lost their lives. And even in school, in the homes, military, wherever it is, I think we really got to learn how to just be human beings first and develop relationships, learn how to love yourself. You know what I'm saying? On a daily basis, find something that you would like to do that helps your mind, body, and soul. You know what I'm saying? Something as simple as that, writing it down, reading, whatever it is. Because I heard someone say earlier that there's a lot of things out there, such as social media, other things where growing up at a young age, 14 or younger, we see on social media, everyone's got it figured out. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of times a lot of people hold their emotions back, because everybody wants to have it figured out. But even people that's in their 30s and up, they don't have it figured out, and that's okay. So I think going forward, I think as adults, we got to teach our youth it's okay to not have it figured out. Love yourself.
Right.
Figure yourself out first. Develop those relationships and figure yourself out first before you go out here and try to figure out what this life is all about. You know what I'm saying? Because in life, you'll only have you first and then those around you. And she said, I forgot his name, but someone said that they're still in contact with their 4th grade teacher.
That's Betty.
That I was listening. Yeah, Betty. That taught me you gotta create an environment for people to to plant that seed for them to grow. You know what I'm saying? It's about creating an environment for people to grow. There's going to be negatives in life. There's going to be positives in life. But just like a battery, it doesn't work without that negative and that positive side.
Right.
That positive side.
That's right.
That's what I got to say on that one.
Come on, Mo.
That's
I
right.
appreciate you. Matter of fact, I appreciate everything that's going on right now.
That's right.
You got to give the people what they want. My goodness. Good people. This conversation is going like I needed to go, because that's what it is. It's a conversation, and we based it on the topic. Shout out to Tony sitting over here, opening up, talking to the people, giving the people what they want. You are appreciated. You are listened to. We are heard. Voice of the unheard. We understand you, baby, and we're here for you. Do you got any questions thus far? Do you want to ask anybody any specific questions? You do. I got it for you. I remember. I got it. Before I ask that, though, I'm gonna ask this, because we already said, what causes mental illness? We already said some of the stressors, right?
Well, hey.
But hold on, go ahead, Dante. Come on, Dr. Carr. Come on, Doctor. Talk to me, Doctor.
Man, look at the what I see mostly, even with adults, man, and they don't even have to come to me for this specific thing. But upon conversation and my techniques and strategies,
Okay,
I
okay.
find that it boils down to one thing, just among other things. But the one thing I see most is grief. Now, grief isn't necessarily associated with the death.
Okay.
It's not necessarily associated with the passing of someone
stole my
or
wallet.
anything like. Well, robbery. It's not associated with robbery, unfortunately.
Talk to us about this
But-
grief, Dr.
So
Carr.
with grief, like having lost something that you once had, it can be love, it can be affection, it could be many of those things. Like we have to most people don't choose to process those the correct way. We tend to. I'll just use death for an example. I struggled with grief a couple years ago. My mom passed away. Even as a mental health professional, I was like, no, I understand that life happens, therefore it ends. That's just the way life goes, right? But it started to rear itself. The effects started to show themselves in all areas of my life because I had chose not to seek help and to properly deal with the grief associated with that. So I think grief in any form, in a lot of ways. I'm trying not to give a specific example of somebody's situation, but grief, I would say, post-traumatic stress, which necessarily isn't associated with the military like most think, but having gone through something life-changing, and no fault. A lot of times, at no fault of their own, haven't had something done to you, haven't been a victim of something that was done to you, or been in a situation that you didn't have any control of. Those situations, having those issues unresolved, I think is a huge.
That's like going and listening to a bunch of gunshots and you scared. All of
a
a
lot
sudden
of
you
things.
just scared. Yeah.
Absolutely, you man. Look here, a lot of things.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yes. Well, anybody like to add to that? So we're great. Can you?
I would say.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I would say genetics as well, if that was
Right.
like.
Oh, genetics.
Sometimes it does pass.
Oh yes, we'll take that. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big
Right.
one. Oh
I
wow.
agree. Yep, I agree.
That's
with
a
that
big one.
100%.
Can we prevent mental health problems? Can we prevent mental health problems?
No.
No,
No.
no, 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 no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, you can.
No.
You know what? If you're living in today's world and you're not affected in some type of way by something that's going on now, I want to talk to you.
Okay,
Correct.
come on.
Correct.
Because I want to know what it is that you're doing.
I want to know
They
too.
got the plan.
I'm trying to be
Like
about.
living your life and not seeing it rain.
Right.
Okay?
Come on,
They got
come
the
on,
plan.
come on.
Being the youngest of 8, and like all my sisters have had problems, and there's 6 girls, 2 boys, and there's only 2 of us that haven't been arrested. And so having that happen, I thought I came out of the storm okay. Till I realized that here I am, this big professor. I got all these degrees behind my name and all this stuff, but hey, you know what? I weigh 300 pounds because I eat my emotions.
Hey, come here.
And I got forced into going into therapy for my gastric bypass surgery. I had to go to get the surgery, right? Found out it wasn't me not being able to have no willpower. It was trauma. Unresolved trauma. I agree with the person who said if someone tells you that they've got it all figured out, they don't. They're just coping better at this time.
Betty, you have checked quite a few of my boxes.
It doesn't matter
Man.
if you're a therapist. I don't care what it is. Everybody deals with something. And I always tell people look at me like, okay, you're a counselor, you're a therapist, but guess what? I'm human first. And I go through this just like everybody else does. And sometimes your therapist need therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I'm not okay.
Tony, you think I don't need
If I'm
therapy?
not okay, I can't help the next person if I'm not together.
Come on.
Right.
Ms. Johnson, look
so
here.
just as if I go to the doctor, I take care of my physical and I take care of my mental as
Because you
well.
can't pour from an empty cup.
That's a part of my
right.
routine.
You can't.
And Ms. Johnson, when you say that, I'm gonna revert it back to just how I feel about these parents you can't help your kids if you have not addressed your own problems.
That's right.
Yep.
There's no
That's
difference
it.
from a therapist. You know, a therapist, you got the mental capacity, you got the studies, you got the, we got the letters behind the name, you know what I'm saying? But as a parent,
it starts there.
That's where it starts,
there.
because everything starts in the house.
That's right.
And that leads actually to my next question was, I'm not even gonna ask it yet because I believe that should be a closer because I wasn't gonna ask, but I ain't gonna ask it yet. But it leads back to them parents what you just said, because as a therapist, some people think that they perfect, they ain't got no problems, and they forget that they human first.
Man, look here. What Betty said? She said, "I got it all together, but I just look here, look, man. Hey, I don't drink and I don't smoke." But I spend $300 on a steak and eat the whole thing. Which is why
a birthday cake. There wasn't a birthday cake saved in a 50-mile radius from me.
We're going to have to connect. We're going to have Betty. Look here. You calling me down?
We're going to Seattle. I just want you to know that.
You write my name down, Betty.
She told me to get the fish from Seattle because it's fresh. Okay,
of course
it is.
Listen, I got a question because here's a big word in the mental illness, mental health, everything is stress.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you describe stress? Dante, we can start with you.
You want the definition?
I mean, how would you describe stress? I mean, stress is for everybody.
Well, I mean, stress
he just said school. Basically, he let us know school was a stressor. Yeah. And
so a stressor for me?
I mean, tell me about stress.
The pressures of life is a stressor.
Yeah. Come on.
I mean, before I am who I am today, we talked about this in a previous episode. The pressure from the external pressure and the internal pressure caused me to behave and do certain things that I know I shouldn't have done. So I still, though I won't do any of those things again, I still struggle with that same pressure. I struggle with the pressure to be great, to be effective in other people's lives. That take work and energy. And I apply a lot of pressure to myself to be effective to the people who seek help from me. I want to be effective to those people. So that causes stress for me because I put myself up against a bunch of stuff mentally to make sure, or to try to stay as sharp as I can, to make myself readily available. But it is stressful. I mean, I'll start there.
Okay. Betty, anybody online, how would you describe stress?
I would say life instances.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
There are many, I would say life instances. Like, there are a lot of things in life that causes stress. It can be the smallest things, like school, work, being under peer pressure, many things, like, different for different people. Because one thing that may stress of one person out may not be as stressful for the next person.
Correct.
So it's different life instances that can cause the smallest amount of stress. We have kids sometimes that are stressed out just by getting up in the morning, going to school. Getting up in the morning, just going to work. It's small things like that. Yeah. So any type of life instances.
And I can want to add to that because stress can be addictive. I came out of this really chaotic, crazy home, and then I was looking for a career to go into, and I was, I didn't want to do something. And then law enforcement was perfect for me because it's a boom, boom, boom. It's always chaotic. It's always going. And I found out that was because I kind of am addicted to chaos. I kind of, and chaos can be very addicted. And then when you come out, and I married someone who was came from a different background than me. But that caused a big stressor because I was always looking for that chaos that was my normal. That wasn't normal to everybody else, but I needed that. So stress is different for different people. Like, me going out working a homicide, that's no problem for me. But for other people, oh my gosh, they couldn't, it would kill them, or doing interviews or going into a very dangerous situation, because that's what I grew up with. I grew up in a very high crime, high poverty area. So I was used to that. So, like when they told me you're going to go teach in North St. Louis, I was like, okay, I got this. There's no problem. Let me in that classroom. That's my normal. Let me in there.
When you say chaos, do you mean like something uncertain or new?
Right. Like
a little arousal.
Well, I'm on edge.
Okay.
When you're raised with a violent, like violent propensity that my mother had. You know, I was used to that. I was used to being on edge. So, but you know, that stress might not be for somebody else. But that's one thing. Stress can be addicting too. It can be like you always want to be stressed out, and when you are normal and calm, you don't know how to act.
Yeah. Or you on high alert.
Like you say, stress could also. Stress can also, you know, kind of make you feel alive too. You know, it lets you know that you're alive. You're aware as well. I can see where you're coming from on that.
And there's something that's called, and I didn't find this out until I actually was faced with it myself. I started seeing a functional medicine doctor because I was experiencing just a lot of fatigue. And upon getting tests ran, he told me, he said, you're suffering from stage 3 adrenal fatigue. Our adrenal glands, he said, because you are so used to being stressed to where your stress glands, like now you're maxed out. You have nothing else. Because I couldn't handle stress. But that was because I had put myself through it and I had dealt with it so much. And medically, there was ways that you have to pretty much get your adrenal glands back into shape to where you can effectively handle stress if it comes up. Because, of course, in life, you're going to be stressed. Something's going to stress you out. So stress is really a thing that can lead to other things.
Oh, absolutely.
A whole lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Life-threatening things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the things, let's talk about teens. Give me some things that stress you out, dear, or that you see stress your friends out, or your siblings. Before I say things that, or I can help you out. What about school? We already discussed school.
Right.
What about something as simple as school food? Because I'm not even eating at home, is what it is.
Yeah.
And then school food, I don't like it. It's probably real nasty or whatever. Or if I get free lunch, I only get certain options.
Yeah.
I can't buy the extra stuff. So that brings financial into the building, right? That brings, he ain't got no money to buy stuff or whatever.
Right.
Your family struggling at home. That's another stressor. I ain't got no money. What about the clothing that your peers are wearing, and you want to fit in and you can't afford that, or the new trend that's going on?
That was a big one.
Yeah.
The new trend in society, you know, or what about parents? My parents are married, or your parents are divorced.
Yeah.
You a single parent home. Your mama ain't got, you know, what about where somebody's parent works? That's a stressor for a kid alone. And a kid talks about it. You know, some kids said, well, my parents have college money saved up, and some kids are like, what is that? What does that mean? That's a stressor. Why? Because they like, damn, I want to go to college. What about walking down the block for some of these kids in the inner city?
That's a stressor.
That's a stressor in itself.
Oh my
Driving down the
gosh.
block.
Driving down the block for adults and kids. You know what I'm
Sometimes
saying?
you gotta bump them stop signs.
What about that? You know what I'm saying? Just walking or just playing a video game and you don't know.
Man, Angel, it comes down to being alive.
Okay?
It's a stress.
That's all I'm
Flight
saying.
or flight, all right.
That's what I'm saying. It's fight or flight all day long.
But then you find yourself living on high stress and high alert all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're part of certain
So welcome to
demographic.
society. But this is what we have to explain to kids in society now, so that way they can be more equipped and advocating and stepping out on the block and being able to walk down the street with their head held high and able to address whatever needs that they see fit. You know what I'm saying? Just something simple as going to a stop sign or going into a restaurant or something like that. Just being comfortable about being great and knowing, okay, understand, I know I am in this area or whatever, but things are happening any and everywhere these days. So stress is not just in inner city. Stress is in the burbs.
Everywhere.
Stress is everywhere. Stress is the person giving you your medicine in the hospital and making sure they're giving you the right medicine.
It comes down to stress is an internal thing. So you can leave North St. Louis and go to Atlanta. The stress is going with you, especially if it's internal.
Okay.
A lot of times it is internal. It's how we process,
Because
how we
you're gonna
understand.
be looking for that same thing. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Correct.
But you gotta somebody be like, hey, that's fine, we're here. I'm like, no.
There's some-
This can happen anywhere.
Correct.
I know because I'm from so and so. It can happen anywhere. It's the same. It reciprocates. It doesn't matter if I can be in Houston, Texas, where Johnson calling from. I could be in Houston, and something can happen out there. You know, I mean, being in the criminal justice system, I've seen so much, and the offenders happen to be all different diversities, and the problems happen to be very. It's a wide variety of issues and problems and criminal offenses that are being committed. So when you look at it, it's like stress is with everybody. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if it's sexual abuse, gun violence, education,
I'd be stressed.
self emotional healing. You know, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we discussed that or whatever. And we discussed what did you want any specific stressors that you have, Tony? This your episode, baby. We ain't gonna leave you out. You got the juice.
That's right.
Being somewhere different, like not from like a different like state or anything. It's like being in a different part of the city, like East St. Louis, North St. Louis. Not everybody's aware of like it's different. Like East St. Louis has a bad environment.
That's
all
Illinois.
Around. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has an all around bad environment around it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it as like the city.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the city, it looks peaceful, but it really isn't. It's just more active. And then you have like Chicago. Chicago's as active as St. Louis. They're basically competing towards each other just to get on the leaderboard of like the highest crime rate.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Just being somewhere new, just a different environment is a stressor.
Mm-hmm.
That is. You're right. Not knowing what you're walking into. If I go visit Betty in Seattle, I don't know the people in. I've never been to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It's stressful when I get off the plane. I don't know where to get a ride from. I don't know where to go. I don't know how they're gonna treat me over in this area. I'm not familiar with it. Familiarity. Y'all know
Familiarity.
Yeah,
I got you. I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
She was rocking.
Well,
Yeah, she still suffers from
if you come to
PTSD.
Seattle,
She went through a lot
$6,
today.
almost $7 a gallon gas is going to really stress you out.
What you just say on gas?
Take your gas with you.
I said
That's
gas is almost $6 a gallon.
I ain't got
It's going to really going to stress you out.
I
You
ain't got.
making life decisions at the pump. Do I really?
I'm an Instacart when I get there.
I really want to
I'm
pay
an
for
Instacart for the
this
gas money out there.
gas? Right. Dang.
Oh my goodness. Look, how do you handle Tony? How do you handle your stress?
Music.
Yeah.
Peace. Me too. Peace.
Yeah.
Me too.
Music.
You
Awesome.
rap?
I'm a musical person.
You a musician?
He just
Or you
like.
just listen to it? Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay.
How do you handle yours, Dante?
Oh, me, I like to eat, obviously. No, for real, I also listen to music. I relax. I disconnect.
Yeah.
Peace.
I
Yes.
disconnect.
Got to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Got to.
Mohammed, how do you handle your stress, sir?
Meditation, breathing, being
Yes,
grateful
yes,
just where my feet are in that current moment, putting down the phone, just having that realization of where I've been, where I'm going, and where I am now.
Very good.
Come on, my man. Come on. Miss Johnson, how do you handle that stress?
Practicing a lot of self-care, just like he said, a lot of meditation. I do a lot of foot grounding work. I always tell people sometimes being on the go and just dealing with life, we sometimes forget to stop and appreciate
Yes, we do.
the small things,
Yes,
just like air, So sometimes I will go out and take those shoes off and walk in my grass,
Come on, kid.
lay outside on my hammock on my
That's it.
patio,
Come on.
I try to do something that's going to bring me some type of serenity and peace in regards to my stress. So I think that's actually important.
Awesome sauce. Betty, how do we handle that stress? How do we do it, Betty?
Well, I used to be the birthday cake. It went away, but now I exercise. I play in my worship team. For my church, I play guitar and
Very good.
I just that kind of stuff. I just try to keep moving with music or writing. I write a lot of stuff because writing has been so cathartic for me to help get a lot of that trauma out. And when it's out, it's not hiding anywhere in no dark place. So it can't. It's not got as much power as it used to.
I love that.
That's
I
right.
love
was finna-
that.
You gotta have some cake from time to time. though.
Well, I mean,
Well, sometimes my husband keeps it from me, but
Cheesecake.
Shannon, how do you handle some stress?
I would book a flight and go somewhere on the beach because I'm an empath. I'm a Pisces, so I have to connect with water. I do 12-minute journaling where I reflect and I give myself some time and I go back and read it, then burn it. I do meditate. I do listen to music because I sing. And a lot of times, depending on how stressful something is, like a certain case that I may be working on, I just try to love on my girls.
Good.
And be around them depending on like whatever case. Usually it be the kid cases, and I end up reflecting and I realize how blessed I am because I have those little people, and those little people depend on me and look up to me, so I love on them.
Love that.
Awesome sauce.
Very good.
I guess, you know.
Angel, how do you handle your stress?
Okay,
Let me tell you,
let's
man.
not talk about today. I'm just
Listen,
before today.
No, listen. I listen to music, man. I love some jazz, some R&B and everything.
Old
but I
school.
get hood real sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I go to sleep to meditation. I go
Which
to
one?
I go to my business. I go to sleep to meditation.
Yes.
I hang out with my friends, and if anybody asks you, they know what I'm doing. I'm traveling. You ain't gonna know what
right.
city I'm in. I'm gone. My peaceful place is the beach. If I can't get there, I'm going to see the mountains, baby. But I love the sea. And if you want to see me, you're going to see me at the sea. Put my ashes in that water, baby. Let me swim with the fishes, baby. I love it. I like to have me a cocktail and relax and sit back with a glass of wine and reflect. Because you got to give the people what they want. And I think about all the
Yeah,
good
yourself
times
what
and
you
what
want
you know what I'm
too.
saying? That's what I'm saying. 'Cause
Yes.
I'm part of the people, ain't I?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Give yourself what you
a
want.
lot of times I don't have stress. I don't stress. Sometimes stress is self-imposed. I might overthink, and so I shut that down real quick. You know what I mean?
Because it don't serve
the
you.
positive people that are around me are the ones that I can deal with better. The positive people, and that's how I survive. So you are the company you keep sometimes.
That's right.
So that's how I handle it. But I'm gonna ask, because we closing. I'm gonna ask. I got a question for everybody because Tony wants to know these. These are his questions, actually. How can you help teens understand different mental disabilities or health issues, and how can you help them deal with them? Like, what are y'all recommendations for these teens that are going through things?
I think the most important part to helping teenagers, understand, mental illness and the issues surrounding mental illness is simple at the most basic level, and that is to simply have the conversation. Make it readily available for them to discuss, create spaces for them to discuss stuff that they're feeling, things they're going through. Only because, if you don't make it something that's commonly discussed, they won't feel comfortable to discuss it, right? So you want to give them the space to openly communicate the things that they're going through. My man, you hear me? Yeah. You want to mental health is cool. You're not going to be your best self if your mental health is not okay. You want to be your best self. You don't want to have stress. You don't want to have anxiety. You don't want to be depressed. So creating the space and then being okay to share that with somebody who truly cares, right, about you and wants you to be okay. I think if we as adults create that space, I think it'll for sure cut down on the likelihood of people not being okay or not being okay with not being okay.
Right. Okay. Anybody else want to add to that?
There's a lot of resources that he could use. There's NAMI has Ending the Silence. It's a free presentation for schools and youth groups. It teaches basic mental health and gives testimony from young adults that have mental health conditions in their journey for recovery. There's support groups through NAMI. There's a NAMI Missouri Children's Mental Health Week and resources page, and I'm going to forward that to you, Angel,
okay,
so that you can forward to them. And there's also a youth ambassador scholarships and anti-bullying resources, and they give $1,000 to Missouri youth for students for anti-bullying programs to bring to their schools. So there's a lot of resources out there.
Boom, and that adds to, because I was going to ask about resources, but we just talked about that too, and so if anybody have more. Ms. Johnson, do you have anything, or Muhammad, do you have anything?
I don't really have any.
Okay, good.
Mental health is definitely something that is important, and we have to really pay attention to it and embrace it.
Good. And that's more with understanding it. Just listening to everything that we said today, it literally evolves around that question, like everything that we talked about today, and like he said, just embracing it. And you asked that question for the people, and I hope other kids will listen and get it. I don't care if it's a year from now, they go back and listen, and that's what the Angels Online is about. If somebody's trying to figure something out, they can come in, they can just be like, you know what, I'm finna go listen to the Angels Online. Let me go see I'm pretty sure they got something on mental health. And if they don't, info@theangelsonline.org, put your idea out there. That's what we can do. And we just talked about resources. Last question I want to ask is for everybody. How can parents help these kids? How can parents address these, pay attention to them? What advice do we have for parents?
I'll start.
Go ahead, ma'am.
As a parent, I always try to keep communication open between me and my kids. And as a parent, I'm always watching my kids, so I know when certain things are going on. So I will always have like a moment. Like when they come home, I always have to ask them, how was your day? How was school? A lot of times I have it where if I tell them if my door is open, whether it's closed, knock on the door. If however you feel, come in there and talk to me. Because you have to, your kids, and when certain things are going wrong, or if, like Tony said, you start seeing certain behaviors, but you can't ignore them, because me being a victim, but I'm a survivor now, and having childhood trauma, I started noticing certain things that I was doing. So once I was vocal to my oldest as far as what happened to me, she became more open and transparent. So at the same time, it's just like I try, like even if she say, Mom, I'm stressed, why are you stressed? Okay, so before you tell me why you stressed, I want you to take a deep breath and breathe in and breathe out. Okay, do it again. Okay, now I tell her, put her hands in my hands. Okay, what's wrong? And look me in my eyes and tell me what's wrong with you. And by that, I'll sit there while she's talking and I'll rub her hands to calm her down for her to feel more comfortable with expressing herself to me. So a lot of times I tell her, well, I'm not trying to come off this way, or if I did come off something or come off a certain way, she will let me know. And I'll be like, well, I'm sorry, and let me take back what I said and rephrase it. So being a parent, I know even with like sometimes my job, that affects me. So I have to sit back and kind of like refrain from certain things where I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But being open and being speaking life and positivities into my kids, I try not to come off as being aggressive or judgmental. So I have a safe place with them where they can come and tell me anything. And they always will tell me, well, Mom, I don't know how you're going to take this, or I don't know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Okay. And they tell me all the tea. And whether they want to tell me or not, you got an iPhone. I look all in your stuff. So, hey, I ain't an investigator for nothing.
Thank you for sharing that as a parent. Anybody else? What was your advice for a parent?
I say having patience, never being too busy, like she said, to listen. There's a lot of parents out there that's in school or working, and having that patience to never leave your children in the mess. There's a lot of times where they do make mistakes. They do disappoint. That's a part of life. Never leave them in the mess. You know what I'm saying? Create an environment for them once again for them to have voices. Yeah, to have voices and to address their emotions. You know what I'm saying? They're people. They're growing adults as well. Always tell them that they can be more than they are, and they can be better than they are. Because children, never underestimate children. They can impact others as well.
They remember everything.
Their friends. Yeah, they remember everything. They're like sponges. They can go to school, school work for the young adults or whatever, and impact and help someone else that might not have that environment. You know what I'm saying? That might not have that parent. And I say just never leave them in the mess, and never always have patience for them.
I'm going to use
and
that.
Make sure you tell your kid every day. I try before they leave out the door. See you later. Have a good day. I love you. Because a lot of kids growing up, I didn't hear that a lot, but I try. Even if I'm rushing and my kids, I'd be like, all right, see y'all later, and I'll go out the door. They'd be like, I got to come back. Have a good day, and I love you. Because those 3 words, it means a lot. Because my kids would tell me a couple times, and I forgot, Mama, you ain't say it. I'm sorry. I love you. And I don't never want you to forget, because I have to tell
That,
them, you don't know. No man knows the day, the time, or the hour. So you got to live today like it's the last day. And I always tell them, I love you.
Good. What you about to say, Mo?
something so simple is so important because that might be the something that they need to carry out that day.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Miss Johnson?
I would say definitely piggybacking off what the last two people said is listening. But the most important thing for me is support.
Yep.
We have to be able to support our kids with what they're dealing with and what we're going through. And we also, as parents, have to understand and realize that we may not be able to provide what they need, but we need to be able to get them what they need.
That's
It's
right.
okay if we can't help them. My son comes to me sometimes and he's like, Mom, you're a therapist. I can't talk to you. And I agree because I'm mom first.
Correct.
So I can't be your therapist. But if I realize there's something that you're dealing with and I feel like as your parent I can help you, I am going to get you the help that you need. I'm going to support you in that. Our kids want to know that we support them. They want to know that we're not looking down on them because they're sad or they're dealing with specific things.
Yes.
We have to back them. We have to listen. We have to get them what they need because if not, once we lose them, sometimes there's no coming back from that.
That's right.
A lot of times.
So we have to be supportive of
That's
our
right.
children and their feelings and not shut them down.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you.
One thing about math, right, is that it's going to math. As a parent, you know when things aren't adding up. You know when things are off, right? So you want to first seek to understand what's wrong, right? And then from there, the biggest thing is, like she just said, support. Be there. Let them know that, first of all, I recognize that, I understand,
Come on.
and I'm going to help you work through that. I might not
right.
agree. I might feel that it's uncalled for and that it may not be, beneficial or relevant with what it is that I'm doing as a parent. But if you say that something's wrong, I have to understand and accept that from you feel that something's wrong. And I have to behave in that reality that something's wrong with my child. I have to first see to correct the problem because as a parent, you want to fix the issue. Don't brush it off.
Right.
Oh, no, you'll be fine. It'll get better. Oh, just tell this person this. No, it's affecting me emotionally. It's affecting your child emotionally.
Mentally.
It needs to affect you. It needs to be your
And
priority
physically.
number one to
That's
make sure
right.
and get your child the services and the help that they need. Even if you yourself can't fix the problem, it's your responsibility
That's
as a
right.
parent to make sure they get what they need.
Come on. Betty, go ahead.
Well,
Yep.
I think that for me, as a parent, I think that you need to understand if you have more than one kid that they all don't experience the same things. Emotionally, they could be different. We can't just like what work for one might not work for the other.
That's right.
Coming from such a large family, I'm a totally different person than my oldest sister. There's 21 years between us but just understand that we're all a little broken. And that at some time, if
Crayons still
broken crayons still color the same. So, you can, that's like kids, you got to just think about what worked for this one doesn't work for that one because there's no way. And, your kids are different people. So you can't just like bully them into behaving like the other one did.
That's
Take
right.
time, get to know them as a person, because sometimes we just see as parents, they're kids. We don't know the little idiosyncrasies that they got. You got to get to know them as a person and think about that because we're trying to be the boss and in control, but that doesn't always work for all kids. So
Everything
be able
got-
to be flexible.
Everything I got to end in a whooping.
Okay.
Everything I got to end in a beating all the time. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
I got a shoe.
Joseph ain't hurt. Ain't no Joseph
That's what I mean
Jackson
by
here,
don't
God
leave
dang
them
it.
in the mess.
You know what I'm saying? Everything
And that's not effective. It's not effective.
No,
not at
it's
all.
not.
Man. Like,
Because they start being more deviant.
you gonna make me you gonna make me scared of you now? Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna slap me for? Just tell me what I'm doing wrong. Let me try to
Right.
fix it. Just tell me you gonna take my phone. I'm gonna do better about it. I'm gonna do better. My thing is I say get a kids a voice, man. Give them a voice, let them be heard, and that's what we did today. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Angels Online episode 9. But we know we got to end with a good people, good people. Mo, give me a good people, sir.
Good people, good people.
Miss Johnson, give me a good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
Better you know what to say.
Good people, good people.
There it is.
I like Betty.
Dante, come on.
Okay, we got
Good
you.
people, good people.
Tony, what's up? Say it, baby.
Good people, good people.
Shannon, come on.
Good people, good people.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Angels Online. You know what I got to say. You got to get up people what they want. If you would like to hear from anybody on this episode, you can hit up info@theangelsonline.org. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook @theangelsonline, YouTube, The Angels Online LLC. And you know what I'm going to end you with, baby. Good people, good people. You got to get up people what they want. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to The Angels Online, Voice of the Unheard. Please stay tuned for the next episode next Wednesday, each and every Wednesday, and hopefully we motivate, influence, and inspire you. You are someone's angel. Remember, all voices matter. Peace and love from The Angels Online, Voice of the Unheard. Good people, good people.
Go people, go people.